We got that. We got Lakers in five. 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 Lakers in five.
All right, so boom. Welcome back to another episode of Sports Chat with Sid. We don't got no F1 this week. F1 took a break this week. They come back next week with Miami, so check out that next week. But there's no F1. But the sports world did not fail us for this week. Because not only do we have a heaping pile of updates for basketball, which I'm going to get into, they had the NFL draft, and that had a whole lot of drama and stuff within that. Then there was some stuff outside of the NFL draft for some old head NFL players, if you know, you know, that we're going to get into just a little bit. And then there is a new Netflix documentary that caught my attention, and I decided to give it for a ride. Look at that! Look at that pun. When you get it, you get it. And so we're gonna check out "Racing for the Crown," which is about horse racing, later in the episode as well. Just a little short recap. What I thought about it was 6 episodes. So let's get it started. I'm gonna start with the NFL. We're gonna do basketball, and then we're gonna go into the new Netflix documentary. So first things first. NFL draft. Now, I put up a little tidbit on TikTok about that. You can go check out my TikTok _ said the kid. Just for little updates here and there, recent news, all that stuff. But I did not know, because you're gonna hear me say on the TikTok that he was drafted in the 3rd round. First of all, did not know there was 5 rounds of drafts. Had no clue that the draft even lasted more than a day, because usually everyone just watches the first day and it's gone. In my mind, I didn't know. The whole draft, combine, that whole thing, it gives auction, it gives human sales. I don't like it. I don't like the feeling of it in any form or fashion. It just makes my stomach hurt. It's the same. NBA draft has like similar vibes, but I don't know why. But the NFL just gives more auction than the NBA draft, just to me. Especially because you have the combine where you like show off your skills. How high can you jump? How fast can you run? All right, good job. Now we're gonna see if you're gonna get picked, and it's weird. It's just a little weird to me. But anywho, the big name on the block, Shedeur Sanders. He is Deion Sanders' son, right? Deion Sanders is a world-renowned NFL player, played for the Cowboys, and I think that was probably the last time they won a ring. They haven't won the ring in damn near 20-some years. So he was on the the winning Super Bowl Cowboy team. So big name in sports. His son is up for the draft. His son actually played under him in the Colorado University. They had basically a really bad losing streak team. Deion Sanders came in, his son came in, and they started winning. I don't think they really beat 50-50 odds, meaning like they never won more than 50% of their games, but they still did better than what they were before. And so now we go into the draft. Shedeur is up. He's poised to be like top draft pick, not number 1, but at least gone within the 1st round. First day goes by, nobody picks him. People were talking about the Giants were going to pick him, especially because they need a quarterback. But no one picks him, doesn't go 1st round, doesn't go 2nd round, doesn't go 3rd round. And people are like, okay, now, this is getting a little odd. What is happening over here? Why are they like, he's, not, he wasn't a top player, but he was poised to go 1st round draft pick. He didn't participate in the combine, so that, put a sour taste in some people's mouths. But still, not picked in the 2nd or 3rd. It was looking crazy. Cleveland Browns got him 5th round. It was, a humbling experience, some people say, especially because he had all the hype and everything for the first day. Some people have like they rent houses or rooms. He decorated his whole room and everything. It was looking up. 4 days went by and he got accepted, but now he's in his room by his computer streaming. It is what it is, but I think it was just a little odd. A lot of people are saying like this was kind of a little racism. I could see that. I'm like I said, I'm not well versed in football enough to know like how bad or what he does on the field, off the field. A lot of people are saying off the field he's not really the best person, or like he doesn't really study hard, or whatever the case may be. But in terms of being off field, like he plays well, he has increased winning game streaks. He has a good resume on field that I don't know what the talks was behind the scenes that made him drop from being like a 1st round prospect to the 5th round. So that was basically what most people's been talking about this week. Again, I'm now hearing that it might be a good thing because he might now be a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns coming next year, the year after. I just hope he proves everybody wrong. I hope he come in there, he get his foot in the ground, he starts beating people, and he starts making a name for himself in the NFL, just like his dad did. That's all I can hope for the young man because, who knows with these type of conditions what can happen on a day-to-day basis within the NFL. There's injuries happen, life happens. You're poised to be number one, you do really bad. Sometimes you're picked in like the fourth or fifth round. Like I think Tom Brady was picked like super low and he goes on to win 6 Super Bowl rings. So you never know, or seven. I think no, 7 Super Bowl rings. You never know what can happen. So all I hope for is that he does well. That's all I can say. Moving on to the next off the field NFL news. Shannon Sharpe. What the hell is going on? Monique tried to tell you, Shannon, stop playing with these young girls. Stop it. She tried to warn you. And what did you do? The first it was Michelle. Now, my Michelle, you go on Instagram Live. We all know what happened. I ain't going to go into all the details. He accidentally goes on live in an intimate moment. He cleans it up, apologizes. He's still on the air at ESPN. He's still got his podcast. He's still doing ads for his show. Everything moves. Now, some new allegations pop up. He was dealing with a 19-year-old, 19-year-old. I just had to emphasize the teen on that at 56 years old. Weird. It's giving R. Kelly. If you're talking teenage, how old we're talking? Teenage. She's a teenager. Anyway, we move. Met at the gym. They had, freaky deaky texts that they put on out there, which is, whatever. And allegations popped up into consensual, non-consensual acts. She's coming after him for $50 million. This is also coming after he signed a $100 million contract with ESPN, especially being, I think, like a co-host now on First Take, like an official co-host. And so she's coming after him for 50. People are saying, it's kind of odd. She has the same lawyer that was going against Jay-Z for his case, like for a woman with the kind of similar allegations. Who knows what's going on? Shannon took a step down. He was like, I'm taking a step down to deal with my family and my circumstances, blah, blah. Things are coming out that they tried to offer her $10 million earlier when she was going to come out with some allegations, and she was not accepting the $10 million. Who knows what's going on? Who knows if the allegations are true or not? I'm just here to report what's been being talked about. All I know is it's a bad look. It's a bad look, sir. It's not good. Even if, allegations are false, and let's say they had a consensual relationship, so she's still 19 and he was 56, it'll look crazy. It looks wild. And if it wasn't consensual, then that's wild to even begin with at any age. So, again, I just hope the best outcome comes out, the truth comes out, and we can move from it, and people can learn some lessons. Also, let me rewind and talk about this real quick. He was supposed to have that girl sign the NDA, and she did not sign the NDA, and he still invited her over. That should be a lesson. If that girl don't sign the NDA, why would you invite her back? Now, I'm not putting onus on the girl. It's not the girl's fault. She didn't want to sign the NDA. That's her choice not to sign the NDA. But as a man that's about to be worth a couple $100 million, if the person don't want to sign the NDA, so that is when you take your discipline and you say, you know what? You're a lovely young lady. It was lovely to meet you. I can't go any further because you will not sign this NDA, and that is your prerogative. You are free to do so. I just can't mess with you. But no, he did not say that. And now we're in this situation. Just have to put that out there because that's crazy. Like, why you chose to keep going when she didn't sign the NDA is mind-boggling, I should say. But again, we move. So that's the wrap up for NFL news. Now we're going to get into some basketball. All right, we're switching gears and we're heading into basketball. We're gonna have a basketball catch up because goddamn, there's been some games these past couple days. I'm gonna just try and go through them not as quickly as possible and try and get like basically the most important details because some of these games was snoozers, boring, whatever. There was a lot of injuries. We've had a lot of ups and downs. So let's talk about it. My first talk is OKC sweeps Memphis. I am not surprised. I kind of figured that was going to happen. OKC was number 1 in the West. They won the first game by 50 something points. I said, yeah, it's looking like a sweep to me. Even with Memphis coming back and being stronger, like giving them some close games here and there, I said, yeah, nah, they're not going to be strong enough to even. Well, one, they were never going to make it out this series, but I mean, if they won one game, I'd have been kind of surprised, but a sweep also does not surprise me. Um, Ja did get injured in like the third game, unfortunately, and this is not the first time this injury has happened like this, like especially in the series. I'm gonna get to that next one, but basically he goes up for either a layup or a dunk, and the defender, because he was chasing after the other guy, the dude alley oops it back. He was gonna turn around and try and like I guess defend from behind him, which you should just let that one go. Slips, falls into John Morant as John's coming forward midair, lands on his hip, like straight on his hip from like being 5 feet in the air. Does not look pretty. He does not come back in that game. He couldn't come back in the game after, and because of that, I'm not gonna say because of that they got swept, but it didn't help their chances of winning a game with their star player being out, unfortunately. So yeah, that's kind of wraps up the OKC Memphis, and now OKC has a lot of rest until they figure out who they're playing next, because that's gonna be an interesting one. So like I said, not the only one that got injured this way. We're gonna jump into Golden State Warriors. They are facing the Houston Rockets right now, and again, Jimmy Butler gets injured in a very similar fashion due to who? Draymond Green. Now, you've seen me talk about it on this channel before. I'm not the biggest fan of Draymond Green. All right, he has his pluses with his defense and everything like that. I feel like he plays like a flailing child because his arms and legs be all over the place, trying to either defend or cause injury or get fouls, whatever the reasoning for his gameplay is. I don't know. I just think it looked ugly and I don't like it. I don't like it. But I think he I guess was defending against Amir Thompson, pushes him. Amir kind of falls into Jimmy Butler again while Jimmy Butler is midair. Jimmy lands on his back or his butt essentially and gets like a deep contusion in his butt muscle. It's not looking cute. He is out for the rest of that game. So they lose that game being 2-1. They played yesterday. Jimmy Butler came back for the game 4. It was a close game. Steph didn't play well, but Jimmy ended up playing well, even being injured. The Golden State Warriors win, and now they're up 3-1 in this series. So yeah, that's a little wrap up on that. Again, like I said, people getting injured left and right. Now we're gonna go into the Pacers and the Bucks. All I gotta say about the Pacers and the Bucks, I did not know they did not like each other. The girls were fighting. Like Damon Halliburton don't like each other. I think it's from the like regular season that they had those clips up, but still, I was like, oh my gosh, the girls are fighting, guys. But anywho, Dame comes back game 4 because he had some blood cut issues towards the end of the regular season, and so he was kind of wishy washy for being in the playoffs. He comes back, gets an ankle injury, and whatchamacallit, the Bucks won game 3, so they were up 2-1. So Pacers were up 2-1. But because of that ankle injury, Bucks did not win that game. Pacers won, and now they are up 3-1 from yesterday, April 28th. Again, not my favorite like games to watch, the Pacers and the Bucks. I try to get clips of them every now and again, but to me, I think I went for the Bucks in the first 2 games. I was like, oh, I think the Bucks gonna pull it out. I think the Bucks can get some good game wins in there, and they didn't. And so now, like I said before, I'm never rooting for the Bucks again. I shall be rooting for the Pacers because they seem like I guess they have the winning team, and I just go with the winning team at least for this one. Next game, Cavalier and the Heat. Again, it's a sweep. Kind of figured Cavaliers are number 1 in the East. I think they're number 1 in the entire NBA. I think they do have a higher winning streak than OKC at the moment, but I have to double check those numbers. But yeah, the Cavaliers beat the Heat that last game by 55 points. Yeah, the Heat did not show up. Just like how OKC got beat that first game, Cavaliers like, we're going to save that for the last game. sweeps them 4-0, and beat them in that last game by 55 points just to put a little stamp in there, just to make it known that they here and they ready to ball. So that's gonna be an interesting one, whoever they play next. Which might be Knicks or the Pistons, depending on how this game plays out. Knicks and Pistons, they've been going back and forth. Talking about a rough and tumble game, they are fighting. Those girls are also fighting. I feel like the playoff basketball, like them refs let them get away with anything. Like as long as you're not full out swinging, you could push people, throw people on the ground. Them refs is like, I'm blind. I can't see. What foul? What are you talking about? But then sometimes it'd be the most minute foul and they'll call it. I'm gonna get to that later with the Lakers and Timberwolves. But like some fouls, they can't see them. You throw a man on the ground, oh my gosh, I'm blind. But you blow right on his lash. You blow on a player's lash, and they're sitting here like, oh my gosh, it's a foul, guys, please stop. You shouldn't be doing that. I don't know what these rules are. These rules for the playoff games are all over the place. Anywho, back to the Knicks and Pistons. Game 4, Brunson goes down with the injury. The third quarter, he comes back in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks win by 1. Now, like I said before, these refs and the controversial calls, the Knicks win by 1, which I like. The Knicks are now up 3-1 on the Pistons. Love that. But Hardaway Jr. on the last second tries to go for the buzzer beater. He misses the shot, but mid-air while he was jumping, I forgot who the Knicks player was, but he hits him like Hardaway. Now, I think he hits him after the shot, but even still, if you get hit after the shot, usually you get a foul still, and they did not call the foul. That Pistons coach was on the floor screaming at the refs after the game. He was like, that's a foul. And them refs were like, we are trying to go home. Them refs did not care. They're like, we're going home. We're not even going to review it. It's done. You get the Knicks one, 3-1. Try again next time. That's what the refs did right in his face. So, again, like I said, these controversial calls, especially these like last second calls, like I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not even gonna front to you. Sometimes they're calling stuff, sometimes they're not calling stuff. So now the Knicks are up 3-1. Now we're gonna go into the Lakers in Minnesota. So Timberwolves, like I said, them dogs is hungry. Them young men in the Timberwolves are hungry. What did I say before? That's why they won the first game. The Lakers came back. They won that second. But what happened? Luka has a bad game on Friday. He doesn't really show up. He gets like 14 points in total in that game on Friday. And then in the most recent game yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before, in the most recent game on the 27th, he JJ, the coach. That's what I'm trying to figure out. JJ, the coach. The Lakers don't got no bench. And so I understand you have to make a tough decision because it's like, do I put some bench players in and rest my 40-year-old star player so he can get some air before he whips these kids' ass? Yeah. But also, like, if I put this bench out, we're probably going to start losing points because they just don't play well because we don't have a good bench. So he's trying to figure out the balance. And what did he do is he let his 5-star players play for the whole second half of this last game. And they was tired. They got tired. I'm not surprised. Luka got a little tired. I guess this is the the conditioning that they were talking about that he's missing. Luka got tired. LeBron got tired. All them Hachimura, they're not older, but like when you playing that many minutes without getting rest because you don't got no bench, it's hard. And Timberwolves is a fast-paced game. They play fast. They like running up and down the court fast all the time. They're not slowing down. They're not walking the ball down. Like they in your face. They in your grill. And so because of that, that's how they got the advantage. The last call, again, because the Timberwolves are now up 3-1 because of this last call. Anthony Edwards going up, dribbling, about to go lay it up in the rim. He slips. On no fault of his own, he slips. And LeBron is defending him. And while he slips, LeBron taps his arm. So now, he taps his arm, the ball goes out. Right? Last touch, Anthony Edwards. So they're like, oh, it's Lakers ball. He's like, nah. LeBron touched me. So it's a foul, actually. They recall the thing. They get a timeout. The coach calls a challenge. They do the sky view. These sky view cameras now, oh my gosh, they are catching everything. There's a sky view camera, panoramic view. And all you see is Anthony slipping and LeBron's hand. Just hold on to that wrist. And it's a foul. Last second of the game, foul on LeBron. Anthony Edwards gets 2 shots. It's a 3-point game. No timeouts left for the Lakers, which is why when I was watching it, I was like, why don't they call a timeout to like redraw play? They had no timeouts left on them. So they do Luka to LeBron, LeBron to Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has a good look at a 3, doesn't make it. Isn't clutch in the last 5 minutes, and so they lose. I think it was like 116 to like 113. Basically, they lost by like 3 points, and now the Timberwolves up 3-1. And so that's why I don't know. It's looking like the Lakers might be out of the series. I'll give my predictions in a bit, but it's not looking too good for the Lakers. Anyhow, next group of games, Boston Magic. Boston is up by 3-1. They had an upset in game 3 when the Magic won. Boston came back in game 4, and that's all I could say about it. I didn't think it was gonna be a sweep, but I kind of figured it was gonna be a sweep. I think Boston's gonna come back and just wrap it up in game 5. I'm gonna just give y'all my prediction for that because there was no clips or highlights from that game that I could see that were fun, you know. Moving on to the next game, the next nail biter. That's what I meant to say. The next nail biter, them Clippers and them Nuggets. That's a closer series than I thought. Not even gonna front with you. That series is close. They're tied now, 2-2 from game 4. And why are they tied? Because Aaron Gordon hit a buzzing beating dunk in the last second of the last game to win 101-99. They were tied. Luka takes a shot, misses. Aaron Gordon goes up for the rebound and dunks it in, and at the last millisecond, makes it right before the end of the game. Honestly, a crazy shot. Crazy way to win game 4. They are now tied 2-2. I think that series is going to go all the way to game 7. Not even going to front with y'all. I think that series, they're going to take that to game 7. I don't know who wins next. I honestly think they're gonna go tit for tat. I think Clippers gonna win next, then Nuggets, then this gonna be a game 7 decider. That's my prediction for that series. That series is gonna go all the way for sure. Some other predictions for the next 2 days, because basically by today is April 29th when I'm gonna be editing this. I couldn't tell y'all guys. I got kind of busy, so we're gonna figure out when I'm gonna edit this, but it's gonna be out this week. But for at least for the 29th, so that's why I'm doing dates. I think the Pacers, they're gonna wrap up game 5. I think the Pacers are gonna be 4-1. They're gonna take that. I, as a Knicks fan, I got hope. Knicks will have a close win and they go wrap up the series as well, because right now they're up 3-1. I think Knicks get a close win. They close it out, get a 4-1, wrap up that series. I think Boston wraps up game 5 as well. And like I said before, Clippers and Nuggets, they're gonna go to a game 7. I think for this next game, the Clippers gonna come back and they're gonna be up 3-2. And that's all for what? Yes, that's all for tonight. Now tomorrow on April 30th, Warriors and Rockets. I think the Rockets gonna make a comeback. Warriors up 3-1. They have a good record with winning 3-1s in 5 games, but I think the Rockets gonna make a comeback. I think the Rockets gonna take that. In terms of the Lakers and the Timberwolves, I don't know. You have the experience on the Lakers, right, with LeBron and JJ and Luka, but I think the conditioning of Timberwolves, the hunger that they have for it, I think the Timberwolves could wrap this up. I really truly do. Luka and LeBron gonna have to have an outstanding game tomorrow for them to get even. Like I said, for them to even it up to 3-2. I really truly think that the Timberwolves are a little bit hungrier, and I think they can wrap it up in game 5. That's my prediction. Is the Timberwolves are gonna take game 5? It's gonna be a close one, a nail biter, but I think the Timberwolves got that. So that was my wrap up and predictions and all the drama that is involved with basketball right now. It is a lot. There are so many games. I can't wait until the next round where there's a lot less games so I can actually pay attention to them more and really go into depth about what's been happening. But for now, this is your basketball wrap up. And now we're gonna get into racing for that crown with these horses. Okay, so racing for the crown. We're gonna get into it. It's a new documentary on Netflix. It just popped up on my feed, and I was like, let's see what this talking about. You heard everybody hears of the Kentucky Derby, and they know like, and if you haven't, then it's like you living under a rock because it's one of the biggest like horse races. But that's all I know. The only thing I've heard about is the Derby and how much money goes into betting and how you have to dress up like you go into a tea party, and that's the only thing I know about the horse. That's the only thing I know about horse racing in general. Is just the Kentucky Derby. So going into Race for the Crown, I was really surprised about one like how informative it is um kind of because it kind of talk about like what goes into like horse racing. The Kentucky Derby is as not even one of the biggest races, especially for like people who are into horse racing. Like the Derby is just the most well known, but it doesn't have the biggest prize bag. It is one of the Triple Crown, which I'll get into, but it's a whole it's a whole lot more than what you think about it. And this is just the American ones. Like I I heard that in Europe, in England, it's a different breed. It's almost like soccer, and I'll talk about why that is. So, just to give some background, Race for the Crown, they're talking about horse racing thoroughbreds, and I think this is all about 3-year fillies or like basically 3-year horses. Like, I think they have to be year three, something like that. That was a little bit confusing to me, but anyhow, the whole point is to race for the Triple Crown. Now, the Triple Crown are three major races in the United States. Kentucky Derby is the first one. Preakness is the second one that happens like 2 weeks after. And the Belmont is the last that happens 3 weeks after that. And it all happens like within the summer. So, like, Kentucky Derby is like this weekend. And then Preakness would be in like 2 weeks in May. And then the Belmont would be like in June. That's how back to back they are. And that is the Triple Crown. That is what you want to win. Now, going into horse racing, they kind of broke it down by three people. You have the owners, like the people who own the horses or whatever, or the stables. Then you have the trainers, and you have these like world renowned trainers that will like train these horses for years and years and years. And then you have the jockeys, right? And the jockeys are the people that like ride the horses during the race. So that's how they broke it down. Now, in my mind, I thought that the jockeys like work with the trainer. So I thought you had like a trainer and a jockey, and the trainer, knows the horse, everything like that. But then the jockey is like practicing with the horse and then riding on a race day. Not how it happens. The jockeys get picked from the owners and they show up on race day and ride whatever horse they get picked for. So the jockeys have to like just show up on whatever like whoever needs them, and then they get picked to ride a horse, and then they just ride whatever horse is basically available or what they get picked for. I was so confused because I was like, oh, I thought like you had time to like get to know the horse and practice. No, you have 10 minutes before you get on that racetrack to learn about your horse. That's a different type of skill. I was like, give it up for the jockeys because I thought they were like practicing with them. Nope, that's what the trainers do. The trainers practice, and there's like practice jockeys, but the actual jockeys that race don't know these horses. They don't know what they about to get into. Like, it's a whole thing. So what I want to talk about in terms of, let's start with the jockeys, is they talk about different jockeys. Like they kind of talk about three of them. I'm not going to go into all of it because I want you to watch it. But the main one they talk about, and how I wanted to relate it to kind of like a soccer field, is they talk about Frankie Dellatorre. This man is the first jockey they talk about. This man is 50 years old. He retired from horse racing because he was racing in England and Italy. He's a very tiny man. That's also what I want to get into real quick. These jockeys are tiny, tiny people. I could never be a race jockey. I am 5'10" and a stallion. These jockeys are like 5'4" maximum. These jockeys are tiny, like very small. And there's a lot of men. There's still not a lot of women in this. Like they mentioned, like this one woman jockey who's still, again being one of like the few women jockeys, has to go through discrimination and different things like that because there's not many women jockeys. This All of them are men and just tiny and Italian. Most of them are not even American. Like I don't think there was a single, like, Brian Hernandez Jr. is American, but his father is not American. There was like barely any American jockeys. They're all tiny Italian men. It's insane. But anywho, back to Frankie Dettori, 50 years old. He was racing in Europe for time, won all, like, damn near all the races in Europe at one point in time. And then he retired and he was like, I'm bored. So I'm going to race in America now. I feel like I could win the Kentucky Derby. I won everything else in England and Italy and Europe. And so now he's like, I'm 50 years old and I'm now racing in 50 years old and I'm racing in America. Like, he's moving like Zlatan. Zlatan was like, yeah, in my prime, I was in Europe. Now that I'm retired, I can come over to America because it's light over here. Like, that's what horse racing is in America. I need you to understand that, like, you, even though horse racing is getting bigger and you have the Derby, like the big name, the Kentucky Derby, it's nothing compared to like Europe, England, like the history that horse racing has in those countries. It's incomparable. Like, we're getting the crumbs over here. That's what I'm telling you. Because if this man can retire, come over here, and he was winning races. Like, first couple races, man was like, "Yo, it's Frankie Dettori. Like, what can you do?" He's like a legend in horse racing, and this man's 50 years old and was like winning races. It's crazy, but it's also goes for a lot of the horses. Like, the horses have to show up on the day too. It's not just the jockeys. There's some days where like the jockey is great, it's Frankie Dettori, but the horse just didn't want to show up today, or they get stuck on the rail, which is another thing. It's like how you race in like a track. Like, sometimes you get stuck on the inside, there's no hole, and you can't go through. Or the horse goes out too fast and then they get tired. Like, it's a whole thing. Like, you're trying to control this animal. It's crazy. The other people I want to talk about is these owners. I would talk about the trainers. They had some like trainers that were interesting. The one trainer that I thought was interesting was this 80 something year old man that is still a horse trainer to this day. Won like damn near every race you could think of at least a couple of times. Like, this man is no joke. I can't remember his name, but like, that's what I'm saying. You guys have to watch it because an 80-year-old horse trainer, something to see. But anywho, I also want to talk about these owners. Now, there's two different types of owners, and both got money. Let's keep it a buck. Both of them, they got money, but one got just more money than the other. So I'm gonna talk about Michael Ivorone. So Michael Ivorone, he comes on the screen. He a Miami dude, glasses up, bedazzled suits. He's like, yeah, I'm paying for horses. Like, horse racing is my thing. He likes to pop bottles, he likes to party. That's this dude. But he goes in there and he's like, yo, I'm the little guy compared to these other money guys. I'm like, what do you mean you're the little guy? He's like, I can only buy a piece of a horse. Like, I only can buy or one horse. Like, there's guys out here that has stables that like their horse runs deep. Like, how much horses that they have for these races. My man goes in, he talks about how last year he got an offer to put in $7 million on this horse. He was like, I think it's kind of overevaluated. I don't know if the $7 million is really worth it. I'm gonna be out on this deal. I'm not gonna pay $7 million for a horse. That horse ends up winning the Kentucky Derby last year. He was like, oh, well, I messed up. And he sure did, because then once the horse wins the Derby, I don't know if they can race again for the next year, but I know they can be sold for a high, high price. And so the piece that he would have bought in at $7 million turned out to be a $15 million turnaround if he would have bought it. He lost basically like $8 million. From that point on, he was kicking himself in the ass. And so when the guy came back again the next year and was like, hey, I have this horse now. Last time you missed it. You don't want to miss this one. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to miss it. So I'm going to put a couple million on this horse and we're gonna get it done and we're going to win the Derby or whatever. And then what happens? The horse gets sick right before the Kentucky Derby. The horse was not able to run because you have to build up points. Like, you can't just run the Derby and the Preakness or run for the Triple Crown. You have to like run all these other smaller races, build up points, and then that's how you're eligible to get to the Triple Crown. He got sick like a month before the Triple Crown, so he wasn't even able to build up the points to be able to race in those big races, unfortunately. And so you don't see Michael Everon for the rest of the season. That's the first and like last time you see him for the rest of the season. I felt so bad. I was like, my dude, that sucks. Like, you kind of rush into a deal because you missed out on the last deal, and now your horse is sick. Like, that's how it's crazy. Like, you really have to be dedicated and just willing to lose money, gain money sometimes, but lose some money. Which is why I'm gonna get into the big dogs, the big owners. So I talk about this dude, Michael Rapoli. Man, basically owns Vitamin Water. Like, that's the one brand. I think Body Armor. Multi-billionaire. Man got horses up his ass. Horses up the wazoo. Like, he got a whole stable. So his main one was Fierceness, and then I think Fierceness started really, really well in the beginning of the season, but then there was another horse that was in his stable called like Mind Maze or something like that. And he started going like he started gaining points a lot and started racing really, really well. And he's not the only one that like has a bunch of horses. There's another dude on here that like he was like, yeah, I took all my money out the stock market. I started investing in cars, art, and horses. And I was like, fair enough, I guess. Whatever. Do you? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, this man was just owning horses and tried his best possible way to like use basically gain as many horses or buy as many horses for the best possibility to win a Triple Crown. In the end, unfortunately, he doesn't win. I don't think any of the Triple Crown races. Like, he doesn't win the Derby or Preakness or the Belmont. No, yeah, he doesn't win any of the Triple Crowns. So again, money kind of gone to waste. Cause like some of them make their money back when they do resell the horses if the horse kind of does well, like if they're second or third, but they're not making as much back as if the horse like wins like one of these Triple Crown races. So yeah, there's it's a hit or a miss. Like, it is very much hit or miss with just horse racing in general. To me, it feels like just one big bet. Like, you're just putting in a big bet and hoping for the best. But I like the show. It was very informative. Again, like I said, about horse racing, about the people that are involved in it, about the whole like not the whole history because they didn't really go into the history. I wanted them to really talk about like the history, especially from like Europe and England and stuff. But at least from an American perspective, it was just like very informative and cool to watch and just to learn something new about a new sport, especially because we didn't have any Formula One this week. A lot of basketball, but no Formula One. So this was a good little documentary to keep me occupied for the weekend. So check it out, called Race for the Crown on Netflix. And yeah, that is the episode for this week. Peace.
Bigger than five. 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 It don't matter. Divorce court, child support, Lou Dort. Bigger than five. OKC, KFC, UFC. Bigger than five. It doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Bigger than five.